So The Last Night is a bit of a mixed bag. It's an album that I simultaneously thought was good overall, but it's also an album that's just afraid. It's afraid to be different. It's afraid that if it deviates too much from Lionheart, then no one's gonna like it. And you can see glimpses of this in a bunch of the songs. Throughout most of the album, you'll hear these intros that are all different and feel like they're going somewhere, from heavy guitars to parts that sound quite a lot like Camelot. There's a good amount of variation, but unfortunately, once you get past that and past the first verse, you get to this chorus which is just Lionheart. It's just a chorus that's just straight out of Lionheart. It's very generic, and a lot of these songs have it, and it just kind of sticks with that style. So you get these songs that have the intro with this first verse or just first section that is interesting and different, but unfortunately it just stops and it goes to being just kind of average Serenity. And then I sat there just thinking, you had a good thing here. This could have been interesting. I want you to explore this. But they don't. A lot of the songs end up feeling the same towards the end. They all feel like they merge together and they're all the same song because it's just too afraid to do anything. And that's the tragic part of this album. I mean, don't get me wrong, Serenity do some good stuff. And if that's all you want, if you just want more Serenity in this style, then go ahead and listen to this. Just turn off this video. But if you are wanting Serenity to do some more different things and maybe explore some different avenues, then you're going to probably hate this because they start doing that. And there's only one song that they really follow through on that, and that's towards the end. That song is Queen of Avalon, and that song is great, even though it does fall into some Serenity tropes. The song is great for doing that. It's like this album is building up towards a song that's like this, and it's kind of weird because the album feels like it's structured in a way of someone trying something different but falling into the same ways, and then they eventually get there and it feels comfortable. I mean, I don't really have an analogy here, but if you've heard the album or if you go and listen to it, you'll probably understand what I mean. It feels like they had these songs where they had some good ideas, but they just didn't really go anywhere with it, and that's the biggest shame with this album, because even though it is good, it still has these issues of the start of the song sounding completely different to the end, and then you end up sitting there feeling like, I liked the intro, I liked what they were doing there, but ultimately the album just falls flat in that regard. Now, to be quite honest with you, I didn't hate this album. I actually enjoyed it, even though there was that thing in the back of my head where I was like, they could have done so much more with it, but it's more Serenity, and that's fine. Now, there was only two songs that I ended up not really liking. One of them was Set the World on Fire, and the other song was My Kingdom Come. Now, I didn't end up hating these songs, I just thought they were kind of bland and a bit too generic. They were, radio hits, and that's fine. Honestly, a song that, you can just not care about. But with the other songs, I ended up finding something I liked about them, mainly being the intros. I mean, the songs weren't terrible, it was a well mixed album. I could hear everything, it was all clear. The album had a clear structure. It had a start, which, the intro song, The Last Knight, being just a intro melody, was a bit too long, but hey, that's fine. You could class that as a nitpick, as well as, Set the World on Fire and My Kingdom Come being a bit too generic, and that was really my only issues with it. So I'm going to summarize by saying this album probably isn't worth listening to if you're not a Serenity fan. I would recommend listening to Lionheart or the album before that. Maybe come back to this after that and see if you like it. But as an album, rating it, I'm going to give it a 6. I feel like it's what it deserves. The album is fine. It's innocent. It's a very safe album. with the experimentation that they do in the album. I wanted more, but what is there is good, and I would like to see them expand on this. So yeah, it's just an album that tries some new things but doesn't really do anything with them.